Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Racha Kodash. The blessings to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone Drew Bell. Citations to the whole elect out there, you Akim to Sadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. On the pre-Shaman, this week's topic is going to be entitled "Is China Up Next?" And this is inspired because recently the Chinese economy just cut their interest rates, right, to boost their economy up. And there's a lot of major investors that are pretty much saying to hell with America and allocating capital to Chinese investments. Hey, I'm one of them, right? Now, with that said, is China up next? So we're gonna read some articles. We're gonna go into prophecy because that's what we deal with here at Great Millstone, prophecy, to say things before they happen, and that is a common prophecy in the world that China is up next and China is going to be the next major ruler. The Chinese, according to the Bible, are Moabites, and it is not prophesied that the Moabites should rule after the Edomites, but that Jacob, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, they should rule. Yahushua being the chief head of that, and us being joint heirs of his kingdom. Now, this is from the Wall Street Journal. It says China cuts benchmark rates to bolster flagging economy. Move follows raft of economic data released by China that showed slowing growth in the final months of 2021. Right. So how can we explain this? Right. So basically, the reason China cut rates, and if you own any Chinese stocks or have any Chinese investment, you see that it sort of went up off this news. And why does that happen? So all right. So basically, when they cut rates, people with huge amounts of money, they want a return on their investment, right? But they want to put it into things that's safe, right? And when you put your things into something safe like bonds, depending on the current rates of the government, all right, you'll get interest added onto the money you put in, right? Now, when rates are down, it forces big money to do riskier things, go into riskier assets like stocks and real estates. So that's how come you might hear people that were fans of Donald Trump, President Trump, and what he was doing with the stock market. He was trying to drive interest rates down here in America, right? To the point that he wanted them negative. And the reason he wanted them negative is because you have countries like Germany, for example, and Japan that have lower rates than the United States. So what they'll do is they'll take federal, they'll basically use the U.S. rates and get it at their rates, and then sell it back to the U.S. at the U.S. rates. And Trump, being a pure nationalist, he was trying to fight against that, And when rates are down, stocks go up, real estate go up, because big money has to try to get out of bonds and put their money, all right, into again more riskier assets like stocks. So on this news, people, the thesis is this: the GDP per capita in China, all right, is about 10,000 per person, right? That, like, on average, the annual income per person is about $10,000 a year, whereas America is 60,000, right? A little bit more than that. So the thesis is there's a lot of tailwind, there's a lot of growth to be done in China, and pretty much here in America, we don't have that much tailwind. People are already rich and successful, but in China there's triple the population and a lot more room to grow. So that's a thesis as to why you hear investors flocking to China, why people think China up next. But according to the scriptures, that's not going to happen. And actually in America, people are doing the opposite of the Feds right now, are doing the opposite of bringing down rates, but actually bringing up rates, right? To fight against inflation. Okay, but what that is causing is stocks to go down. So people getting burned in that sector. A lot of American investments, right? All right, so let's read this. It says Beijing, China's central bank lowered its benchmark lending rates, stepping in to support a slowing economy that has been weighed down by slumps in property market during a political important year for leader Xi Jinping, right? And the reason you want to cut rates is because you want to encourage people to borrow, right? We live in a Keynesian economic system. What does that mean? That means that markets are pretty much determined by debt, a debt borrowing system. It's not like no borrowing fuels the economy. Borrowing fuels the economy because think about it like this, right? If you have no money, right, but you're able to now borrow money, you're now that money you borrowed is now going into somebody else's pockets, and he's going to use that money to spend. So it's supposed to trigger spending. Encourage people to borrow. Think about this: if you could buy a car with no rates, no interest rates, you'll be more encouraged to go ahead and buy a car as opposed to like if you have to buy a car at 15% interest rates, you'll hold off, right? So it's supposed to encourage spending and boost the economy and such, right? It says the People's Bank of China said Thursday that it cut its 5-year loan prime rate, a benchmark for medium and longer term loans, including mortgages, to 4.6% from 4.65. All right, the first such cut since April 2020. The Chinese central bank also lowered the 1-year loan prime rate by 10 basis points to 3.7%. The second cut to that rate in as many as months. The moves were widely expected by analysts and traders after the central bank on Monday lowered rates on its 1-year medium-term lending facility by 10 basis points to 2.85%, underscoring Beijing's shift to a looser policy stance as economic clouds gather. China's easing cycle in a full swing now. Xiana Yu, a Singapore-based economist at Capital Economics, told clients in a note Thursday. Ms. Yu predicted that the central bank would continue to slash rates in the coming months, which in turn would help to shore up housing demand. Right. Oh, that's another thing too, right? If rates are low, you see investments in these particular sectors, stocks and real estate. So this is the argument, this is the bull thesis, as they would say, for China and China this and their population. So I just wanted brothers to sort of get a little understanding of what's going on behind that. And as you can see in this article in Reuters, concerning America, all right, this was January 19th. It says Feds to raise rates 3 times this year to tame unruly inflation, Reuters poll. So with interest rates rising, people are getting more scared to spend money, right? So they're going to save their money, correct? They're going to try to say, you know what, I can't put my money in this and that. I'm going to put my money in something safe. Times are bad. And then that sort of that slows the economy down because people are more interested now in saving instead of spending, right? And that's really the goal that they want to ease inflation, right? But I did a previous lesson showing that according to the consumer price index definition of inflation, all right, what the Feds have been doing is actually deflationary, right? Because they're printing more money, but that's not getting in the hands of you and me, right? There's no money velocity. And that's Esau's system and wording and shit is tricky. You know what I'm saying? This guy's the devil. The old and true definition of inflation is an increase in the money supply, right? But with this consumer price index thing, all right, they're not even giving you they're not giving you inflation according to that, right? Because the price of goods are going up, all right? The price of goods are going up. There's more money supply, but there's not more spending going on. There's not more exchange of dollars going on because what's happening is all this, think about this, all this stimulus, all this money that they printed, who's it really going back to? It's going right back to the banks because the majority of the United States is in debt. They're paying that right back to the banks. It's not going, we're not, average citizens like you and me are not going back and forth spending, right? So yes, the Feds have increased rates. That's pretty much the article saying the Feds have increased rates to try to battle inflation. Now, let's bring it back to the scriptures, all right? Now, this is what the scripture says concerning Moab. This is Psalm 60 and 8, all right? This is King David, Psalm of David. Moab is my wash pot. Now, a wash pot in the ancient world is used to what? You could wash your feet, or you could have a pot to wash your hands, but it's very, in terms of all the vessels in a home, if you had a home, right, it's sort of like a vessel of no importance, really, like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of the most bases of your vessels. In other words, Moab of my possessions, he really ain't shit, And that's how the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua see the Moabites. They're not really nothing. It's a whole bunch of them, but they're not really valued shit, So-called Chinese. It says, over Edom will I cast out my shoe. Hamites triumph thou because of me. So this pretty much is going into a time where King David, had the Moabites in subjection, right? 2 Samuel 8:2, and he smote Moab and measured them with a line, casting them down to the ground, even with 2 lines. Measured he to put to death, and one Salaka measured he to put to death, and with 1 full line to keep alive. And so the Moabites became David's servants and brought gifts. Right. So there was a time when King David ruled over the Moabites in secular history, and there was a time when King David um, ruled over Edom, right? Because the scripture says, "Over Edom will I cast out my shoe." Now there was an ancient custom in Israel, right? When you cast the casting, when he says I'll cast over my shoe, that's just going into possessing one's land, because there was a custom in Israel, right? He'll possess the lands of Esau, Edom. This is Ruth 4:7. Now this was the manner in former time in Israel concerning redeeming and concerning changing. For to confirm all things, a man plucked off his shoe and gave it to his neighbor, and this was a testimony in Israel. So when King David says, I will cast my shoe over Edom, is I will make Edom one of my possessions, right? And guess what? It was prophesied so. This is Numbers 24:18. It says, "And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly." So King David did fulfill this prophecy, but guess what? This prophecy in Numbers the 24th chapter is going to be is going to replay out in a more grandiose scale. In other words, when Yahushua comes back and have dominions over these nations, and we in the kingdom, King David shall rule over Esau and Edom again, because right now Esau is in rulership, right? The so-called white man is in rulership, and I got news for you. A lot of those so-called Chinese over there are actually Edomites any damn ways, all right? Because they have, you could look up something called crypto Jews, is where you have Amalek, all right, being the devil that he is. He infiltrated a lot of these nations and took on the roles of prominent families of these other nations, such as the Saudi royal family. The Saudi royal family are actually crypto Jews when you go into the history. They took on the names, and just like they did with us, they take on the names and the culture and teach their generation the same. And they've deceived the world. They do the same thing with other nations, man. So the so-called Jew, all right, you might look at these other prominent families all throughout the world controlling shit, and then you do a little deep dive and you find out they're just crypto Jews, right? All right, now again, concerning King David ruling over Moab and King David ruling over Esau, all right, 2 Samuel 8:14, and he put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom put he garrisons, and all they of Edom became David's servants. And the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went. Right, so David at one point had the Edomites and the Moabites in subjection. They weren't shit. I had their possessions. They were like the least of my basins. In my they were like a least basin of all my vessels. So all this is gonna happen again. That's the thing, because right now right now, like some of the biggest influences in terms of like what's going on in the world are Edomites and Moabites, man. Primarily, again, Edomites. All right, but as you saw that was going through that lesson, right? That these nations are really thinking, it's either going to be Esau or it's going to be Edom. It's either going to be Edomites or it's going to be Moabites, right? This is First Chronicles 1 and 2, again, going through a bit of history. Now after this, it came to pass that David smote the Philistines. So the so-called Hamites, which they're not even on. The Hamites, the so-called Africans, aren't really talked about in terms of like, prominent controlling the world type narrative. Like one time they were. When the Egyptians were in rule, all right, not only during the time of when we were captive in Egypt, all right, but even during the time of the Assyrian Empire. Okay, when you go into secular history, Egypt went to war with Assyria, right? So they rose back up to prominence again. But right now, the so-called Africans, all right, which they got that name from a Greek, Leo Scipio Africanus, they're Hamites in different Hamite tribes, all right, whether it be Ham, whether it be Martezayim, these different sons of Ham, all right, they're not really in the talks right now as to be up next to rule. Right now, the main talks is, again, China. You might hear China, All right, you might hear Russia, but again, Russians are Edomites. So that's why we pinpointed this thing about these Moabites. Are they really up next? Because again, that's something that people are saying might happen before it even happened, which I'm here to tell you that's bullshit. That's not so. It says, now after this it came to pass that David smote the Philistines and subdued them and took Gath and her towns out of the hand of the Philistines. So again, this is the prophecy. It's like it. Again, this is in history with David. They read about that psalm. He did that. He took over the Moabites. He took over the Edomites. He subdued the Philistines. It said he smote Moab, and the Moabites became David's servants and brought gifts. This is all going to happen again. Here's a proof. This is Isaiah 49 and 22. Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, behold, I will lift up mine hand to the Gentiles and set up my standard to the people. And they shall bring thy sons in their arms. Read that again. And they shall bring thy sons in their arms, and thy daughters shall be carried upon their shoulders. That sounds like servitude, man. They're carrying our sons and have our daughters on their shoulders. Well, it goes even deeper, right? It says, and the kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and their queens thy nursing mothers. So their prominent rulers amongst the Moabites, all these different nations, shall be in servitude. Is that happening now? No. But it's supposed to happen after who? After Esau, Edom. Look, when you go into the statues in Daniel's 2nd chapter, all right, that statue, even the Moabites was a part of that statue. All right? When you go into them different empires that will rule. Okay? But guess what? When you read Daniel's the 2nd chapter concerning the dream he had about the statue made of gold and clay and iron and these different sorts of things, all right? When Yahushua came back, it smote it all at once. Because guess what? That there wasn't a separate gold statue or a separate silver statue or a separate statue made with clay and iron. It was all one statue, all right? So these nations are unified. Don't they have the UN, one stone? They all one statue. And as that one statue was destroyed by Yahushua, so too shall all these kingdoms at the same time, all right, come to an end when Yahushua comes back to rule. See? It's going to end with that iron and clay. The feet holds up your body. If you don't have any feet, there's no way you're going to be able to hold up your body. So once America, the feet, the end of this statue, the end of these kingdoms, Edomites, are destroyed and done away with. All right? When Yahushua comes back, it's a wrap. Jacob is up next. It don't say that the Moabites are going to come down after the statue, after the feet of iron and clay. Okay? It says, and kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and their queens thy nursing mothers. They shall bow down to thee with their face towards the earth as a sign of subjection, and lick up the dust of thy feet. And look, I'm not talking about when you're at camp and you have some Edomite kiss your boots. I'm talking about how entire people be in a rulership, man. Okay? Forever and ever. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord, Yahweh Shai, for they shall not be ashamed that wait for me. So that's what's going to happen next. See? Israel ruling after Esau, Edom. 2nd Ezra chapter 6 verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the time? So this is Ezra asking the angel, look, when's the end? As all prophets asked. Apostles, the disciples, they asked the Lord. Many prophets that had the ability to speak to an angel or a divine figure asked, when shall be the end? So Ezra asked the same thing. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the time? Or when shall be the end of the first at the beginning of it that followeth? Going back to Jacob and Esau, right? Because Esau came out first. And who followed after him? Jacob. All right. So verse 8. And he said unto me, so here's the answer. From Abraham unto Isaac and Jacob. From Abraham. Read it again. Slow it down. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. So this signified that Jacob was going to yank Esau out of his rulership. Right? pull him by the heel. And that's what's going to happen. Yahweh Shai, all right, when he comes back, he's going to take Esau out of rulership. And Esau is the one that's ruling right now. For Esau is the end of the world. Now, this word here, world, represents an eon, all right, an age, a period of time. It doesn't mean the end of the earth. Scripture says the earth abideth forever. That don't mean the world is going to blow up, like and shattered to pieces, because there is going to come some great destruction here. But the earth shall remain. It's going to rock to and fro like a junkard, as it says in the book of Isaiah, but it's not going to be utterly destroyed, you see? So the end of this man's rulership. For Esau is the end of the world. He's the end of this current world, this current age. Did not Yahweh Shai said, if this was my world, my servants would fight? Meaning it's not my time yet. This is not our time yet. The end of the nation's rulership, the ends of the nation's world, this particular world ends with the Edomites. And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, right? So after their rulership comes to an end, then there shall be new heavens and new earth, new rulership, man. A refreshed. Actually, let me actually pull that up. All right, new heavens and new earth, because it doesn't mean that there's gonna be a new planet Earth. All right. Let me get that. Because the same thing that's uttered in the book of Isaiah, in the book of Revelation, is the same translation. The word refreshed. It says Isaiah 65:17, for behold, I create new heavens and new earth, and the former shall not be remembered nor come into mind. Because you're not going to really be meditating on all the hells and shit that you was going through in America. It's going to be like a bad dream. Because when you have a bad dream, you can't really remember quite the details, especially if you start doing something happy. When you wake up, you start having joy and shit, you forget all about that dream. See? So it ain't going to really, it's going to be a memorial. America's going to be a memorial of what not to do or how to piss off the Most High. All right, but we're going to be having so much joy and peace and happiness in the kingdom that we ain't going to want to be thinking about this shit, man. All right? Like a dude that hits the lottery that was living in the projects and he's now a multi-billionaire, some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? He's caught up in that happiness. He's not really dwelling on the projects, like that. See? And the word there for new is Kadash, which means what? Fresh. See? Like they say in the world, I woke up, I felt brand new today. You wasn't a new human being, you just felt refreshed. Right? And the same thing is uttered here in the book of Revelations 21:1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. So this is Isaiah seeing the same thing. This is John the Revelator seeing the same thing, prophesying the same thing, because it's really just one prophecy. It's just, brothers have said it differently, or said the same thing in different time periods, because we're saying the same thing that we said back then. The spirit of the prophets is subject to the prophets, but we might be using new phrases, of course, speaking a different language, but it's the same message all throughout. It says, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there were no more sea. Revelation 17:5. No more sea. Meaning a lot of these people are going to be wiped out, man. All right. Revelation, is it 15? Oh, Slakia. Okay, Revelation 17:15. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Right. So when it says there's no more seas, when these nations are completely wiped the fuck out, man. Not completely wiped out, and it's like not like, oh, there's 0 nations left, but their rulership is no more. And our rulership is next, man. All right. New, the word there is kainos, refreshed, recently made fresh. And verse 2 says, and I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from the Most High out of heaven. prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. So that's when the 144,000 is gonna be coming out them chariots. When the Lord deliver us and take us out of our misery and sorrow, which is this place here. Okay? Ready to start the new rulership. And when I say start the rulership, I'm talking about having new nations in complete subjection and taking orders. Because we're not lifting a goddamn finger. We done did that for thousands and thousands of years under you nations. Every single nation at one point in history, all right, including you Moabites, had us in some sort of slavery or subjection. All right? So when we come back up next, y'all cannot say the Most High is not merciful, man, because the Most High gave all you nations a period in time to rule over his own people. So y'all don't want to hear that. All right? Most High is extremely merciful. So when we get our time from all this bullshit that we've been going through, which really in the grand scheme of things really ain't shit, compared to what we're gonna get. But still, it's grievous, man, because our time is different, you see? To the Most High, it's like nothing. It's like, oh, this has been, 2 days? Y'all been in captivity? That ain't really nothing. But to us, it's, we're on a different time. Shit, man, we've been under these nations for multiple lifespans, man. Multiple incarnations. So it's only fair that the Lord's people, when it's our time to rule, we're going to rule righteously and forever. So with that, so is the Chinese up next? Hell no, all right? The Chinese economy may go up. Who knows? Chinese investments may go up. But in terms of the so-called Chinese ruling over the planet Earth, I'm talking about on some Rothschild elite banking type family levels and running and dictating everything. That's not so, man, all right? After Esau Edom is done, Jacob is up next. With that, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, Ba'ashim, Rachakudash, that belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, which are well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there. You Akim to Sadakim that do sing in their most truth and sincerity. Shalom.